Welcome to the Senior Techie Podcast. Imagine for just a moment that your family is suddenly locked out of your house.
Oh, that's never a good situation to be in.
Right. But this isn't a normal house we're talking about. It's entirely invisible.
Mm-hmm.
And worse, every time they try to force the front door open, the locks automatically change themselves.
Just completely locking them out.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And eventually the house just self-destructs to keep intruders out. And it takes, all the family photo albums and important documents inside right along with it.
It sounds like a science fiction thriller, right? But unfortunately, that is the exact reality millions of families face every single year.
Yeah.
Especially when they're trying to access a loved one's digital life.
And we talk a lot on this show about how fast technology moves.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say right up front, it is completely understandable if you sometimes feel like the digital world is just sprinting ahead while you're, just trying to catch your breath.
Oh, absolutely. It's overwhelming for everyone.
It really is.
Yeah.
But I want to remind you, and I mean you, the listener, right off the bat, that you are deeply capable of mastering this.
Yes. 100%.
You have a lifetime of wisdom.
Yeah.
I mean, decades of organizing your life, managing complex households, handling finances, taking care of your family.
That's real organizational skill right there.
Exactly. And today, we are taking that exact same wisdom and just applying it to a slightly different set of tools. We are talking about organizing your online life for the future.
Which is so, so important.
It is. And please, do not worry. If you don't consider yourself a tech person, you don't need a computer science degree to handle this. You really just need a plan.
Right, because the skills required here aren't coding or programming. They are organizational skills. It's about bringing order to a system that, frankly, often feels chaotic by design.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
You've likely organized physical filing cabinets or balanced checkbooks, arranged safe deposit boxes 1,000 times over in your life. We are just moving those exact same principles onto a screen.
But before we get into the practical steps of organizing all of this, we really need to translate the invisible, right?
Oh, yes, the jargon.
The jargon. The tech industry is just notorious for its confusing jargon. And those buzzwords, they can create an artificial barrier. It makes people feel intimidated.
They really do. It sounds like another language.
It does. So let's break down the mechanics of what we're actually dealing with here using some physical analogies. Let's start with your digital estate.
Okay.
When people hear the word estate, they usually picture physical assets, right?
Mm-hmm.
A home, vehicles, investments, maybe a physical safe in the basement.
Right, the tangible things.
Exactly. Well, your digital estate carries the exact same weight, but it's invisible. It's just like your physical estate, your house, your filing cabinets, your safety deposit boxes, but it encompasses every single online account, digital file, stored photograph, app, and device you own.
That's a perfect way to look at it. I always look at it as an invisible fortress,
Oh, a fortress. I like that.
Yeah, you've spent years building this fortress, placing your assets inside different rooms. But unlike a physical house where your family can, eventually find a spare key or hire a locksmith.
Right. You can always break a window if you have to.
Exactly. But this digital fortress is heavily guarded by corporations whose primary legal obligation is to keep everyone out.
Which is wild. And that actually brings us to another term that gets thrown around constantly. The cloud.
Oh, yes. Everyone's favorite buzzword.
We hear about cloud apps, cloud storage, iCloud, Google Drive. It always sounds so ethereal, like, oh, your photos are just floating around in the atmosphere.
Right, like they're literally in the sky.
Yeah, but let's ground that. The cloud is not in the sky. It is just a massive, highly fortified, temperature-controlled warehouse full of computer servers.
Usually located somewhere like a desert in Nevada, right?
Exactly. So when you use cloud storage, you are essentially just renting an off-site storage unit inside that warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
You don't own the facility. You just own the boxes sitting inside your specific storage unit.
Right.
And the landlord of that warehouse, whether it's Apple, Google, Microsoft, they have an ironclad lease agreement that dictates exactly who is allowed to open it.
And, the only way that landlord lets you in is if you have the right credentials.
Yes, credentials and passwords, which, again, let's simplify that. Those are simply the keys to your front door or the combination to your safe.
That's exactly what they are, though people often compare passwords to a simple house key, and I'd say today it's almost more complex than that.
How so?
Well, a modern password, especially when you combine it with something like two-factor authentication.
Oh, getting those text messages with the little codes.
Yes. When you add that, it's more like a dynamic biometric scanner coupled with a combination lock that changes its code every 60 seconds.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot more intense than a brass key.
Right. The system isn't just checking if you have the key, it's demanding proof of your identity in real time.
So now that we understand the gravity of these terms, the estate, the cloud, the keys, let's talk about the sheer size of this invisible fortress.
This is where people get really surprised.
Yeah, because what really stands out when you dig into this is the hidden scope of the problem. If you ask a typical person what's in their digital estate, they'll probably say, well, I have my email, my online bank account, and maybe my Facebook page. So that's 3 things.
And that is the great illusion of the digital age, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it really is.
The reality is that the average person has dozens, sometimes hundreds, of interconnected accounts. Most people are absolutely shocked to discover they have 20, 30, or even 50 different
That's
accounts.
50.
Easily. Think about your actual week. Yes, you have your primary email like a Gmail, a Yahoo, or an Outlook,
Right.
but you also have online banking, maybe a digital investment portfolio,
Mm-hmm.
social media profiles like Facebook, Instagram, or a YouTube account where you just watch gardening tutorials.
Oh, I have definitely saved a few recipes on YouTube.
Exactly. Then you have your photo libraries, which might be automatically backing up to Amazon Photos or Apple servers, and you might not even be thinking about it.
So we're already at, what, 6 or 7? And we haven't even touched utility companies.
Not at all.
I mean, your electric bill, your water bill, your trash service, those are all digital accounts now, usually set up with paperless billing and automatic payments.
Yes. And don't forget healthcare portals, where you message your doctors, pharmacy apps for your prescriptions,
True.
airline loyalty programs where you've been hoarding miles for a decade, and subscription services like Netflix or digital newspapers.
It just adds up so fast.
And crucially, we have to include the physical devices themselves. Your iPhone, your iPad, your laptop.
Right, because they aren't just pieces of plastic and glass.
No, they're the physical gateways to everything else we just listed.
When you break it down like that, getting to 20 or 50 different accounts is remarkably easy. It's essentially out of sight, out of mind.
Completely.
So we have this massive, sprawling digital footprint. But let me play the skeptical friend for a minute here.
Go for it.
Because I can hear people listening and asking this.
Yeah.
Why can't I just say, you know what, it's all in my head. I have an incredibly capable spouse. Won't my spouse or my adult child just be able to sort it out because they know me so well?
It's the most common assumption people make.
Right. Because when I go to my bank's website, my browser just automatically fills in the password. So if something happens to me, why can't my spouse just sit down at my desk, open the laptop, and handle everything?
Well, that completely falls apart the moment you look at the underlying mechanics of digital security. Good intentions, or even knowing someone's life history inside and out, they do not unlock an iPhone.
No.
Not at all.
Let's look at your example of the autofilling browser.
Okay.
Yes, today the computer recognizes you.
Yeah.
But what happens if that computer runs a software update overnight and logs everyone out?
Oh, I hate when it does that.
Right. Or what happens when a session cookie expires? It asks for the password again.
And worse, it asks for the password, and then it triggers that two-factor authentication we talked about. It says, okay, we recognize this password, but to prove it's really you, we just texted a 6-digit code to your cell phone.
Oh, wow.
And if the person trying to log in is a grieving spouse, and the cell phone belonged to the person who passed away, well, is that phone charged?
Right.
Do they know the passcode to unlock the phone just to read the text message?
Oh my gosh. And if the phone service has already been canceled to save money, that text message just goes into the void.
Exactly. Suddenly, that convenient autofill feature is useless and the account is permanently locked.
That is a terrifying domino effect. 'Cause I think we just assume our family can call the company and explain this situation.
Right, just get customer service on the line.
Exactly. But those privacy policies, the ones we all just scroll past and click agree on, they are strictly written to protect the user from everyone, even from their own family.
Yes. The system doesn't know the difference between a loving partner of 40 years and a hacker in a basement halfway across the world.
It just wants the password.
Exactly. It only knows if the correct authentication is provided. When families try to just sort it out, They end up battling automated customer service systems that legally require the original account holder to be present.
Which is impossible in this scenario.
Right. Financial institutions, for example, they are bound by intense federal regulations. A bank is not going to hand over access just because someone sounds nice on the phone. They demand death certificates, court orders, official letters, just to even confirm an account exists.
And tech companies can be even more rigid. Apple locks devices tight. Facebook might memorialize an account which can permanently lock everyone out if it's not set up right.
Exactly.
In fact, there is a cautionary tale from our source text that really highlights the human cost of this. It's the story of a widow in her 70s.
Oh, yes. This story is so heartbreaking.
It really is. Her husband suddenly passed away. And she wasn't trying to do anything financially complex. She just wanted the family photos that were stored exclusively on his iPad.
Which is such a completely understandable and common desire.
But those memories were locked behind his Apple ID. And he had never shared the passcode with her. She spent months agonizing over this.
Months.
Yeah. She called Apple customer support repeatedly. She escalated to supervisors. She tried everything she could to prove who she was.
But the security mechanisms worked exactly as they were engineered to work, right? They protected the data at all costs.
Exactly. And the heartbreaking outcome was that she never gained access. Decades of family photos remain locked forever behind a forgotten string of numbers.
The irony is that the security system succeeded flawlessly, but the result was just devastating for the family.
Yeah.
And this is why it is so critical to understand that not planning your digital estate isn't just an oversight, it's actually creating a massive burden for the people you leave behind.
And hearing a story like that about locked photos, well, it can definitely trigger some anxiety. It feels overwhelming.
It does.
But this is exactly why we are talking about this today, because transitioning from that anxiety into action is actually easy. It requires absolutely no specialized tech skills, and it puts you completely back in the driver's seat.
That's the empowering part.
But before we get into the how-tos, I have to ask, when we start throwing around phrases like federal regulations and estate planning, this sounds like something I need to hire a fancy lawyer for. Do I need legal help to start this process?
Emphatically, no.
Really?
No lawyer.
No lawyer for this part. While an estate attorney is wonderful for handling your traditional will or the legal side of things, the practical day-to-day work listing your accounts, organizing access, naming trusted people is entirely in your hands.
Oh, that's a relief.
Right. A lawyer isn't going to sit at your kitchen table and figure out your Netflix password or your iPhone PIN. You don't need a legal degree to compile an inventory. You just need intention. That is a massive relief. And I want to mention that a great resource for navigating this, of course, is the Senior Techie. Yep. There are wonderful guides there to help support you through this exact process.
Absolutely.
Now, to completely eliminate the feeling of overwhelm, there is a remarkably effective strategy from our text to get started. I absolutely love this. It's called the Rule of Three.
The Rule of Three is brilliant.
It is. If you sit down and try to remember all 50 of your accounts right now, you will freeze up.
You'll be paralyzed.
So don't do that.
Yeah.
Just simply write down 3 accounts you use every week. Just 3. That is the beginning of an inventory.
It completely bypasses that psychological barrier of perfectionism.
Exactly. Think about your routine this week. Did you check your primary email? Write down the provider and the password. Did you log into your online checking account? Write it down.
Do you check Facebook to see pictures of the grandkids? Write it down.
That's it. You have officially begun. It's a specific, manageable starting point.
And as you start building this, you can also take advantage of platform-specific tools these tech companies have actually built to help solve this problem.
Like Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Facebook is a great example of this.
Yes. We mentioned earlier how Facebook might memorialize an account and lock families out. Well, they have a setting where they will either memorialize or permanently delete an account. But you can control this outcome right now.
How so?
By designating a legacy contact in your settings.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's a vital feature. It preserves your privacy. They don't get your password and they can't read your private messages, but it gives a trusted person the ability to manage your page, write a pinned post, and handle friend requests without needing to battle customer service.
That is so smart. And we also have to mention iPhones and devices again here.
Yeah.
Because we have to reiterate that physical devices are a massive part of the estate.
Arguably the most important part.
Right. Without your passcode or a recovery plan, family members are permanently locked out of the device and everything stored on it. Writing down the passcode to your smartphone is the front door to everything else.
Without question.
Now, We have spent a lot of time dissecting the mechanics here, the passwords, the cloud servers, the authentication texts. But I think it is crucial we pivot to why this actually matters on a deeper level.
The heart of the matter.
Exactly. Because, let's be honest, dealing with passwords and accounts feels like an administrative chore. It feels like cleaning out the garage. But it's actually about preserving a legacy.
It really is. We use terms like data and files, and they sound incredibly cold and clinical.
Very technical.
But what is that data, really? It's photos of grandchildren, it's years of correspondence with the best friend, maybe it's a decade-long genealogy project documenting your family's history.
Right.
These are irreplaceable pieces of family history. They aren't just ones and zeros.
If that digital door remains locked, that history is lost just as permanently as if a physical photo album had burned in a fire.
Exactly. And aside from the emotional value, there are very stark financial implications, too.
Right. The money tied up in all this.
Yes. Forgotten accounts, lingering subscriptions, unreported digital investments. They can result in thousands of dollars simply evaporating if no one knows they exist.
Because if your family doesn't know about that premium streaming service or that digital wallet, it just keeps quietly charging a credit card, or the funds are just lost.
Exactly. The financial risk is huge.
It really brings us to the emotional core of this entire conversation. When you pull all these threads together, the locked devices, the lost history, the financial risks, you realize that planning your digital estate is a profound act of love.
It truly, truly is. When you lose someone, the physical and emotional toll is immense. The last thing a family needs is to spend hours on hold, fighting through automated menus, trying to prove they have the right to access a photograph.
Yeah.
When you organize this information, it saves your family from deep frustration during an incredibly hard time.
You are providing them with clarity and relief. You're ensuring your legacy reaches the people you care about.
Absolutely.
And the best part is, you are entirely capable of doing this. You just have to start.
Start with the rule of 3.
Exactly. And as we wrap up our conversation today, I want to leave you with a direct question to ponder from our source text. I want you to ask yourself, what's one online account you'd hate for your family to lose access to after you're gone?
That's a powerful question.
It is. Is it your photo library? Is it your email? Pinpoint that account in your mind and let that be your motivation to write down your first 3 accounts today. Your family will be so incredibly grateful that you did. This podcast was brought to you by The Senior Techie. It's available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. If you'd like to receive their free newsletters, you can subscribe at subscribe.theseniortechie.com.